Good evening, and I welcome you to your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. I'm your host, Emmanuel Jr., the Chief Crusader Against Corruption here in Ghana. It's such a pleasant moment anytime I get opportunity to share with you on Mondays because, as I keep telling you, this is the only platform that thinks about the future of this country. Our focus is to transform the future of Ghana for the benefit of our next generation, if not for our own benefit. Remember, on this platform, we've talked about one area which has to do with governance, and we've always talked about it, and it has been consistent and dear to me because I believe that that is an area that will help, if we get it right, will help transform the developmental agenda of this country. And I'm making reference to local governance. And so when we came into this multi-party democracy in this fourth republic, we've tried everything possible to decentralize, knowing very well that is the only way we can have citizens to engage and own the developmental agenda that we've been crying for in this country. From 1993 to 2024, consistently, one of the areas we've tried to decentralize has to do with the local or the district assembly. And so we have what we call the assemblymen and an assemblywomen concept. And we say that, look, these people are supposed to represent the people at the minute units. And so we allow the citizens to vote for them. The question that we keep asking ourselves is, how relevant has the assembly system been when we decided that we are going to vote for them? Has it helped us in developing this country? In your community, has it helped us in any way? Then somewhere during the late Atamil's era, we formed, or we had what we call the Constitutional Review Commission. The report that they came out with, if you look at the sector that talks about local governance, it said that majority of Ghanaians are yearning for MCEs and DCEs to also be elected, but not on a partisan level. Fast forward, we had the former president Akufo-Addo coming in, and he made an emphatic proposal saying that we want to elect MMDCEs, but on a partisan line. And if you recall, organizations like Crusaders Against Corruption, among others, came against it vehemently because we were nearing a referendum. And we came against it vehemently, saying that, look, this decision has already been captured by majority of Ghanaians as far as the Constitutional Review Commission's report is concerned. And I'm making reference to the one that was done under the late Atamil's, His Excellency. Majority of Ghanaians said, and I also believe in that we should have MMDCs being elected, but not on a partisan line. Today, the information we have is that we've gone back to that position as a country where we now have, and we are preparing towards it, to have MMDCs being elected, but not on a partisan line. And so that has been captured. But the question we are asking ourselves this evening is, yes, we advocated for that, but indeed, can elected MMDCs really transform local governance in this country? Is it just about the election of them? Or it is an election that is supposed to lead to the helping and the implementation of the developmental agenda that we have as a country? Which one are we yearning for? We've crossed one hurdle, and that has to do with the election of MMDCs, not on a partisan line. But we want to go further. How can that transform local governance? This evening, that's the question we are posing, that's the question we are asking ourselves, and that's the conversation you and I are going to have. Amidst the arguments in these past days, saying that, well, local governance has failed because we've not been able to protect our waterways, and that is why we are having flooding and all that we talk about. MMDCs are giving permits to individuals who are supposed to build not on waterways, but they've been given permit to do same, and it is affecting the community and it's affecting everyone. This all comes together to talk about local governance. But are we sure that if we elect them, we'll be able to take care of these issues, these challenges? I am very privileged, and that is why it is so exciting that this evening we are having one person that is absolutely right to help us understand this conversation. We'll take a commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to introduce the guests that we have this evening. But even before we get to that stage, the question I'm asking is, can elected MMDCs transform local governance? Sharing your views and comments through the WhatsApp line that will be exhibited on the screen, and at the right time, I will engage you. Stay tuned.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. Natural mineral water. Simply natural. For bulk purchase, call 0596 273 546 or 0596 273 547. This advert is FDA approved.
If a cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia, edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre. Me busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hye ahodo bi te se dwadifo abosia, ekokro bosia, susu account. And it does all savings account. Me bada chain savings account. And then the keka home. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Now one so what to me say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Me damwase.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforodia Aquadrum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
Welcome back. I'm still your host, Emmanuel, Jr. And as I indicated, this evening's conversation is on the local governance. We are looking at whether or not elected MMDCs can transform local governance in this country. But at the end of the day, it's not just a transformation we need. We need it to practically be seen in the form of exhibiting on the ground the developmental agenda that we have for this country. This evening's conversation is going to be done with our guest, who is the Executive Secretary of the Inter-Ministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. And so you should understand who we are having here. And I'm making reference to Dr. Gameli Hodofia. I believe I got it right. Doc,
you got it right.
Welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Thank you.
I hope your day was great.
Yes.
Fantastic,
well. Yes.
fantastic. Yes. Doc, we have a lot to talk about, so we will go straight into it. First and foremost, we know that now Cabinet has approved for us to elect MMDCEs. Before we go into that, I want you to give me a background, or my viewers a background. Local governance, decentralization, and developmental agenda of Ghana. What is the relationship among these three elements?
Thank you very much.
Right.
Good evening to our viewers this evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right.
This conversation today helps us to explain a lot better, to break down, the concept of decentralization and what we hear buzzwords: decentralization, local governance, a developmental agenda.
Yeah.
What do all of that mean? First and foremost, let me say that 2 weeks ago, Cabinet approved the National Decentralization Policy and Strategic Framework for 2026 to 2030.
Right.
In the area of political decentralization, we have the matters that we're going to be talking about today. And the policy has as its theme resetting democratic decentralization for accountable public service delivery and accelerated local development. So if you look at it, there are a few things in there. Resetting democratic decentralization for accountable public service delivery and accelerated development. So it's about threefold issues.
That's right.
In there. Democratic decentralization. But as you say, before I come to breaking down the theme, let us look at, decentralization. It's a beautiful concept that essentially just means the transfer of functions, responsibilities, powers from a higher level to a local level. And it has at its core the principle of subsidiarity.
Okay.
Now, what do we mean by subsidiarity? That decisions that affect people where they live should be taken closest to where the issues are.
Yeah.
So if I live in Lankontana, Medina, or I live in Osu, the issues of flooding and a certain decision has to be taken, it should be taken here in Osu, where we can feel it. It's a lived experience for us who live in Osu. Instead of it being taken far away, say in Tamale, for instance, assuming Tamale was the capital, right? Now, interestingly, Osu is just a stone throw away from where the ministries and what have you are. However, the point still remains that the decision-making should not be happening further down the road, but it should be happening here.
That's right.
Where the local government is, so that there's a greater understanding, there's a lived experience. It's not, you're not looking at data, right? But you're looking at both data and the circumstances, the context. You have that context. And so decentralization simply, which during the PNDC era, they used to say power to the people.
Okay.
Right? It means that we're taking the power and the responsibilities and the resources from the center, and then we're giving you, Kobna Minka or Mr. Wilson, we're giving you that power, the opportunity to take charge of shaping the space, the locality where you live, right? And what does that mean for you?
Exactly.
It means that you also then, and this is guaranteed in the Constitution, if you look at the Directive Principles of State Policy in 35(6)(d), it says that we should decentralize the administrative and financial machinery of government to the districts and the regions, and then enable or offer every opportunity to the people to be part of the decision-making processes in government at all levels. At all levels.
Yeah.
That's very critical. Not at the center only, not at the very top, but at all levels. It means bottom up, it means top down, all of it. That anywhere that you as a Ghanaian where you live, right? That is your locality. You should have the opportunity to be able to influence decision making. And not only should also government create the bureaucratic arrangements that allows you to be able to do that, right? But also you should be empowered to be able to do it.
Doug, sorry to cut you, but let me give an example of what you are saying. I remember during the former president Kufuor's era, we had this, we had a grant or so from outside the country where HIPIC, where we're supposed to build the HIPIC toilets.
Yes.
There's a vicinity in the northern region where after years, after building the toilets, ministers and authorities went there and realized that the people were not using it.
Yes.
And why were they not using it? Simply because, according to the indigents, where it was situated or sited, you have to pass in front of the chief's palace before you get there. And in doing so, you often meet the chief. And it is not their custom to go, exactly, it's a taboo. And so they will not do that. They made an argument that central government did not consult them as to where they were supposed to build that structure. And because of that, it has been built, all right, but it is not serving any purpose. And I believe that's exactly what you mean by the decentralization.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. That is what I mean. And to add to that, somebody probably thought that, you know, the chief is the big man in the, in the locality.
So he should get it closer.
Let's side the thing closest to him, right? But no, if they had asked the community people or even gone into the chief palace to say, Nana or whatever the title is, that look, bring your people, let's have a conversation. We have a bit of money that we want to bring in here and provide this for you. Where should we cite it? They will tell you. And so what we mean here, as you get, is a best example of what we are trying to achieve. That we shouldn't have a situation where someone sits at the national level, making decisions, very simple little decisions that affect me where I live. And yet I have no opportunity of influencing that decision. That our constitution says that is wrong, right? That we shouldn't do it. Thankfully for us, the policy explains for us what we mean by decentralization in Ghana. So the National Decentralization Policy for 2026-2030 says that when we say decentralization at the national level in Ghana, we mean ministerial realignment and restructuring.
Right.
What does that mean? That ministers, the ministries, departments, agencies at the center, they will pay attention to policy formulation, monitoring, and evaluation only. Now, this is not just the policy that's speaking. If you refer to PNDC Law 207, I think that's the civil service law, you would find it in there also, stated in law, that ministries, departments, and agencies would focus on policy formulation, monitoring, and evaluation. So that implementation then takes place further down. Now, in the same vein, the policy explains that when we say decentralization at the regional level, what do we mean? We mean deconcentration. Now, deconcentration is a certain type of decentralization, but at that level, there is no autonomy. Right. So the central government has created a layer where the people at that level, they need permission from their bosses before they can effect changes or take certain decisions. So if you go to the regional level, invariably most of the time they will say Accra. We need to take it to Accra. We have not heard back from Accra. Right? Because they need permission from Accra before, if it's a passport or driver's license, I mean, whatever, right? Business operating. If they say they need to get the thing back from Accra, right? Then that is what it means. It's deconcentration. They don't have that autonomy to be able to make the decisions, you know, about issues that affect you as you have come to them.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, but they help the central level do the monitoring and evaluation, the coordination. But now, when we come to the local level,
yes,
we say that is at the district level. When we say decentralization at the district level, we mean decentralization by devolution. Devolution essentially allows for greater autonomy, especially in a unitary state.
Yeah.
It's important because we are a unitary state, it is not free for, there are still some controls, but invariably 99%, autonomy, so that at that level we have an assembly, and that assembly is the foremost or highest decision-making body at the local level in that district. So it's headed by a DC, and then the assembly, that is the bit of it that does legislation.
Yes.
They are headed by the person we call a presiding member, who is one out of equal. So is one of the assembly members who is elected as a presiding member.
Right.
Now, if you look at it, what pertains at the local level, at the level of devolution, it's almost akin to what pertains at the national level. So we have the executive, president and his team and ministers.
Cabinet members.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we have parliament, which is the assembly made up of assembly members, right? And they're headed by a presiding member, just like at the national level, we have the Speaker of Parliament. So the presiding member does that job. So he calls the meetings, he presides those meetings. Then we have the courts, obviously, and the various types of courts that are at various levels. So that cuts across. So if you look at it, really, it's how the framers of our Constitution and the principle of decentralization is about bringing what pertains here to the level where we live, so that we can relate to it, so we can own it.
Yeah.
You understand? So what is it about, really, overall? It's about ownership, it's about development.
Yeah.
That where I live, I should take charge, right? That if I want my locality, my space, how I want it to look like, how I want it to feel like. If I watch TV, I watch a telenovela, and I see all these beautiful things happening there, and that becomes my aspiration, then I should be part of that decision-making processes. And what is the state supposed to do? Ensure that funds will follow the functions.
Very well.
Right? So that if the state was doing it from the center, if you give the responsibility to the local level, then automatically the resources should also follow. And all of that is also contained in the Constitution for us.
That's right.
There's another layer beyond the devolved layer of the district. That is the sub-district structures. And this we call the unit committees, area councils, and what have you, that level. They are beneath the districts. And at that level, the policy says we call it delegation, which is another form or type of decentralization, delegation. At that level, there's also no autonomy for decision making, but we delegate. So the district delegates the functions. Okay, do some of this for me.
That's right.
Right? Almost like the center is delegating some of the functions.
That's right.
The districts also delegate, so community mobilization, revenue generation, revenue collection, and what have you. They delegate those functions to them. And so there are structures there with officials to support the elected members also at that level, unit committee members and what have you, to be able to shape the... Now, what is beautiful about this process is such that all of it is written in law, is guaranteed by the Constitution, as well as the Local Governance Act and other laws that Parliament has made, So on paper, we have a very beautiful local government system, right? That is really in tune with the spirit of decentralization, right? However, in practice, we do have challenges in and those challenges are twofold, right? there's the bit about a disconnect between the center and the local governments. And then there's also the bit about a disconnect between the local governments and the people.
That's right.
Who are the principals. Really, the people should be calling the shots. And the Constitution guarantees that, right? But we are not doing it. So what we are saying is that decentralization is about demand and supply. So the central level would supply. And we've been doing that all this while. And this policy for the next 5 years has put in place beautiful ideas, but these are all supply side ideas. Even though, yes, we have been through the nooks and crannies of this nation, consulting officials, consulting local people, civil society organizations, religious bodies, youth groups, the whole shebang, women's groups, market women. We've consulted all of them. So we can see that there's been a bottom-up, top-down approach to this. However, it's still, you know, supply-led because it's from the center, right? We are pushing it. But we need the people of Ghana to do the demand because they are on the demand side. You and I, right? Even though I sit here and I'm talking about and I'm pushing policy on decentralization and local governance, where I live, right? I'm supposed to be holding the torch.
That's right.
Right? To my local officials, pushing them harder, right? That my drainage needs to be sorted out. My local roads need to be sorted out. Right, health, education, right? Those are the things that matter to us as Ghanaians. But we have the people that the Constitution guarantees, that other laws guarantees, that should lead that conversation for us at the local level at the moment. So what I'm saying is that in terms of the architecture, in terms of the law, right, we have everything that we need. However, the weaknesses in how we implement decentralization. Now, there's also this layer of a certain type of resistance from the center.
Okay.
Right? Not just from politicians, but also civil servants, public servants that are supposed to facilitate the process, allow the process. So that if you know that you and I, we work at the Ministry of Finance, but say maybe we live at Kaswa, which is Ewutu Senya East. Our roads, our housing situation, I mean, drainage, when it rains, there are floods and what have you. But we drive into Accra, to the ministries, beautiful building, right? Then we're making the decisions. So we're taking all these decisions as to where the money should go, right? And we're not thinking about, okay, actually, I live in Kaswa.
Exactly.
Right? There are all these challenges there. So even though I am making the decision while seated in a beautiful building in the middle of Accra, that unfortunately also floods anyway.
That's true.
Right? That I actually need to be doing it with where I live in mind, or where I come from in mind. Right? So that even if where you live is in cantonment, but maybe you come from Obuasi, or you come from Anglo, or Bunkuruguyoyo, right? Think about that place whilst you make those decisions. But as you do that, we also are saying that the people of Ghana must demand a lot more from duty bearers, right? The Constitution is on our side, the law is on our side, that we should demand more. But when it comes to the resistance, the president is very clear, and that's why institutions such as mine, the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, was established.
Right.
Because we, in 2010, we did a root and branch review of decentralization and local governance in Ghana. And we thought, we've been implementing these reforms since, 1988, for about 20 years and more, right? Where have we gotten to? We have not gotten to the point where the true meaning of power to the people, we have not gotten there.
That's right.
So what should we do? So when we did the review, we realized that, look, the Ministry of Local Government, or the Minister for Local Government, was the one that championed decentralization and issues of local governance, right? This power to the people. But decentralization is multi-sectoral. When you go to the local government level, there's education, there's health, gender, all of the issues, sanitation, water, electricity, the whole shebang of it, all pertains there, because that's where the action is, right? Now, there are various ministers, some of them more powerful.
Yeah.
You invite them over, and then they won't attend the meetings anyway. They felt that the Minister for Local Government was looking for more turf, more power, right? But they were not thinking about the local level. So the decision then was taken that, okay, let's scope around, see what best practices are available to fixing this situation. How can we drive decentralization for effective local governance?
That's right.
So the decision was taken by President Mills to establish the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, chaired by the President himself or the Vice President. What's the beautiful idea there?
Right.
That if the people who have to, especially all these more touchy areas of education, health, roads, right? If the minister there and his civil servants don't want to move, the president can whip them in line because he chairs the Interministerial Coordinating Committee. So that decision was taken to establish the IMCC with the sole responsibility in law for the intersectoral policy formulation and coordination of decentralization efforts for the national and the sub-national level. That is the decentralized local government system. Right. So that's why we've been pushing all this while.
Right.
And so the conversation as to how we want the people of Ghana to take ownership, either through this the team that we're talking about, resetting democratic decentralization. Democratic decentralization simply means allowing the people to be able to vote for their own leaders at the level where they live, so that, as I'm talking about, ownership of the processes of development, then they can together take the decisions. We're saying that Kojo Mensah or Osofo, Osofo Kwame, Osofo Kofi, I put myself forward to be district chief executive for Lankwantana Medina or for Obuasi East, right? This is my manifesto together for us to transform this area. We want to fix our roads. They are terrible. We want to deal with the issue of Galamsey, right? That is impacting on our river bodies and what have you. We together here at this level, we want to be able to fix it because it's a problem for us and for our future. We want to be able to, create that space that we ourselves will be proud of.
That's right. Yeah.
And so democratic decentralization allows us to be able to do that, especially through the medium of elections that we use our kokromuti
to do,
right? To do it, to say that, together, this is how we want to do, so that in 4 or 5 years' time, if Osofo Kofi, after all the beautiful things that he told us he wants to do, if in 4 or 5 years he's not able to do it, we chuck him out.
That's right.
That's the decision at the moment that resides with the president, where the president nominates or appoints his ministers, appoints everything. It's like winner takes all. And so we see that, okay, this president, has listened to the people of Ghana. There's been very beautiful alignment between the party from its manifesto, the government led by the president, and then the people of Ghana. One, the people of Ghana, through the Afrobarometer and all these other beautiful surveys that have taken place, have indicated clearly that
they want the election.
That they want the election. They want to elect their local leaders, but they want to do it on non-partisan basis. They say that they see the acrimony that takes place in parliament. So they don't want that. They don't want political parties coming there, sponsoring candidates, party colors everywhere, right? And, owning that process so that people are clouded by party affiliation, party coloration in decision-making at that local level. They don't want it. And so survey after survey has indicated this. We ourselves, in the formulation process of this policy, speaking to the people of Ghana, they have indicated to us that they prefer the election of their local leaders, but on non-partisan basis. And so it's captured clearly under political decentralization that And then, thankfully, the president agreed, cabinet agreed, and so this has become policy for the next 5 years. That there's a timeline in place between 2026 and 2029 for us to be able to fashion out the nitty-gritties of how we would do it before we finally get to go vote.
So what it means is that, and let me be quick to add that I intentionally allowed Doc this moment because I wanted him to lay this foundation for us to go specific into this evening's conversation. It is very important you get this background. Doc, what you are saying, what it means is that the next opportunity to have MMDCEs, they are going to be based on election.
Yes.
That's what it means, right?
That's what it means.
Beautiful. In your communication, a few things happened, and I want us to dwell a bit more on that. Talked about autonomy. You mentioned it a few times. Before we get to autonomy, and then we look at the disconnect between the center or the central government and the district, or the local, and then the local and the people. We'll look at that too. But the current situation is this. I have had opportunity of communicating or engaging some MMDCs, current, previous, especially previous, where they all seem to have one issue, and that is, look, I am the municipal chief executive or the district chief executive. I wake up of the president. I wake up one day, on my way to the office, I see some construction taking place. And I get there to find out from the contractor what is happening. And the contractor tells me that if I'm interested, I should call the central government. And I'm the MCE, I'm the DC, and I don't know anything about that. That talks about the disconnect, and that is very key. It is something that is really happening. I'm asking this question: what difference will it make whether I am elected or appointed? How will that resolve the disconnect? Because you see, in all of this, what the people are interested in is development. They want development to happen. We are saying that the people should own the development. Currently, you are the president, you appointed me to represent you. You are the head of the center. And yet you do not even acknowledge the fact that if you want to come and do something in my jurisdiction, you have to inform me for me to supervise and take care of it. You don't do that. What makes you think, or what makes the citizen think that now that you are not the one appointing me, but it's the people who are going to elect me, you will find it important to say that, okay, I'm going to communicate with him and let him know that this is what we are bringing from Central, or even be courteous enough to say that, look, what should we do in your district? You should bring it, and then it will be adopted by Central. What difference will it make?
So it will make a huge difference. Remember that our constitution says sovereignty lies in the bosom of the people. That is us, you and I.
That's right.
So that's the number one point. Now, the same constitution made room for other laws to be enacted. An example of it is the Local Governance Act. And the Local Governance Act clarifies Ghana's architecture for local governance. And in it, it makes the district assembly the foremost planning authority. It means that without them and their say-so, nothing should come and happen in that district. So this situation, I have experienced it myself. One time I visited, I believe it was Ghana West, Amasama. We were doing some research. And we got there and we saw that there were some people doing patching of a certain road very close to the assembly building. We went in, we had meetings with, you know, the chief executive and his people, coordinating director and others. Then we asked about, oh, what's happening here? Are they going to? He says, I don't even know, my brother.
That's sad.
We have asked them, where are they from? Because this thing, they keep doing repatching, it will spoil, they will come back and do it. And we don't have the power, right, to be able to stop them or supervise the work. And I started to say, no, you do. He says, but we have gone there and they've told us that the contract is from the center.
Top, yeah.
Now, that is everything that this policy seeks to clarify. Okay. It's everything that the Constitution does not guarantee, right? Now, that's why I took pains to explain to you what the policy and then the civil service law highlights about what the MDAs what their preoccupation should be.
Sure.
That they should pay attention to policy formulation, monitoring and evaluation. Sure. So that implementation takes place where the people live. And at that level, we have an assembly, another bureaucracy with very competent, qualified people, right? Ghanaians, manning key positions, directors, people with PhDs and what have you, all kinds of experience. They're there at the local level, right? Very qualified, very competent people who were supposed to help the people, right, in their planning process after the NDPC has issued guidelines, right? So that is also backed by law, right? So under normal circumstances, when the people agree their priorities, we shouldn't have this situation of overreach,
right,
where ministries, departments, and agencies sit at the center and then just come in there, right, award their contract, and then contractor just shows up and start to do construction.
Sure.
Now, ideally, even without elections, the process that should happen is that they really need to do it in collaboration with the local governments. So that if I sit at the Ministry of Roads, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and I'm making a decision to go construct a certain school building, right? I need to do it in consultation with the local leadership.
Exactly.
What would that do? It allows for ownership, right? It allows for support because the people then can galvanize themselves.
And supervision becomes very key.
Yes, because then they can supervise the work.
Because they are there every day.
Every day.
The minister is not there every day.
Exactly. That's why I said that it's a lived experience for the people at the local level.
Sure.
So it's even, there's a certain economic value to it, that it will cut down on costs. That if someone has to come from far away from Accra to come and do this thing here, right? And then someone has to come from Accra to come and do monitoring and then sign off stuff. It should be done by the local government.
That's right.
Led by the DCE and the coordinating director, the people we call municipal or district coordinating directors. These are very high-level public servants, right? Local government officials that are there to help the local people, right? To help the state to be able to transform this nation. Now, when it comes to moving away from what we have currently with these challenges that we have talked about, now we are saying that we should have a situation where once you are elected and you are able to mobilize your people from the various unit committee areas or town or area councils, and together you agree your priorities, right? And the money comes, you determine based on the priorities that you have identified yourselves. In even that process of which of these priorities, these are all important, which one should we do first? All of that lies in the bosom of the people. So once you are elected, you know that your paymaster are the electorates.
Exactly.
They say that he who pays the piper calls the tune. Right? Today, the president, if he wants re-election, always has to go back to the people, to go seek their mandate. So the same principle then happens. So they say that election time, there's a lot of, contracts and there's a lot of activity, right? So that we overrun our budgets because governments are trying to do stuff, right? So in the same way, if I live in that community and I've elected my local leaders and we together have identified our issues, because I know that in a very short time, the day of reckoning comes, that I would have to face the electorate to give an account of the mandate that they gave me. that changes the dynamic at that level, right? So not only about accountability, and this level of accountability is much closer to where the people live, but also about the developmental priorities, right? So that it is not that, oh, my boss in Accra or a minister in Accra has told me that, look, do this.
Yeah.
No, it is that we all agreed
that is what
that
we want to do.
Together, okay, the Minister for Finance has sent us through the DACF, has sent us 1 million or 10 million or 100 million Ghana cedis. And because we have together agreed that even ourselves too, we would willingly pay our property rates and other rates as citizens. And so we have raised IGF of another 10 million. So when we add our 10 million to what the 100 million that the minister sent us, that's 110 million. Now, what are the things? What are the basket of things that we need to do to transform this locality? So it's more about giving more power, ensuring greater accountability at that level, right?
That's right.
So it's going to be much different. And also an elected MMDCE, elected DC, District Chief Executive, will stand up more. He won't take any nonsense.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
Because he knows the implications on him. That you cannot sit in Accra and doing this, right? You have to do it, even if you don't have decentralized functions, and yet you want to come there. That's to say, there are some ministries, departments, and agencies whose work is not directly related to what pertains at the local level. Even them, when they want to, they are conduit, which the state has guaranteed, is the local governments. And so they're really supposed to work with the local governments to deliver on that national mandate. Right? So there's a lot to be said about it.
I think that is interesting, especially the latter part.
Yeah.
That one key difference I see from where I sit is that the elected chief executive will be able to stand up against the central government if the central government is doing something untoward, because this time it is on non-partisan line.
Yes.
And so if you question, you will not be able to, you will not have the reasoning of, okay, if I expose, we are bringing our party into ridicule, so let me keep quiet. It won't happen. But there's one question I had in mind, and I'm going to tie it in with a question that came from one of our viewers.
Yes.
And it talks about the autonomy. I was actually coming to that. But here's a question. I mean, not a question, a comment. It says, unless the financing is also decentralized and DACF management is separated from the Ministry of Finance, there's no way that any progress will be made, even with elected DMCEs. And this is coming from Bowman Amwa. The question adding to this is, after electing, what happens to financial autonomy? Because if we are still, just like you said, the person who paves the piper is the one who causes the tune. So if I'm at central government and you have been elected, without me giving you funds, you'll be a white elephant. You end up doing nothing. The goal is development. It's not just about the election. It's development. And so what happens? Do we have anything that talks about financial autonomy?
Absolutely. Remember, when I talked about the policy, I indicated that this policy has 6 thematic areas. One of those is fiscal decentralization and local finance. Here, we're talking about the intergovernmental fiscal framework, the transfer mechanisms, strengthening capacity at the local level for IGF, the ability of the local governments to be able to raise local bonds, to be able to finance, bankable projects within their localities. All of that is within the area of fiscal decentralization and local finance. Now, the key principle in fiscal decentralization is that the funds must follow the functions.
That's right.
Right? So when we are talking about these reforms, we're not talking about them in isolation. That's why the various parts, the 6 thematic areas, all of them, they weave into each other.
Yeah.
So that when you elect, there are also amendments of the Constitution as well as existing laws that would have to be undertaken. They're called the consequential amendments. So we're not only amending Articles 243 and 248, but we are also we are clearly, I mean, as for 248, we are strengthening, because it is the one that says that we're doing it on non-partisan basis. But 243, is where the meat is. But as we're doing all of that, then we come to the subsidiary legislation and other amendments that have to take place. That, okay, currently, you know, there's a certain structure in place through the composite budgeting process, right, for how funds come to the local level. Now, this policy, thankfully for us, even though we finished the formulation process in 2025, we actually already started implementation in 2025. You know why? Now, you know about the DACF.
Yes.
That is a constitutionally guaranteed minimum of 5%.
That's right.
At some point, President Kufuor raised it to 7.5. President Akufo-Addo brought it back down to 5% and capped it.
Right.
Now, since 1993 to 2025, all of the money that ever went into the DACF was about 16 billion altogether.
Okay.
16 billion. In 2025 alone, right, government sent almost 7 billion through the common fund to the districts. That is almost half of the several years, the about 30 years or so that we have had the DACF, right? And in 1 year, we sent almost half of that to the local governments, right? That is something.
That's right.
Now, this year, 2026,
yes,
the formula last year was minimum of 80% of direct transfers to the local level, to the districts, to be able to lead transformation. This year, 2026, we're talking about a minimum of 90%.
Okay.
Of direct transfers. So the president is very clear about funds following functions to the local level, right? And so for me, where I sit and what I know, it's heartwarming for me that there's a president of this nation who has decided that, you know what, let's empower the local level, not only by giving the local people the opportunity to elect. I have chosen as president to let go of the power that I have to appoint a DC. And the president was very clear last year at the MMDCEs conference that this cohort of DCs will be the last to be appointed by a president, right? And so that in itself is monumental, and I believe that we should celebrate him for that. That you have a leader who has said that, look, yes, the Constitution allows me to do it, but I'm going to amend that to allow for the local people. I want to give the power to the local people so that they can exert more accountability. That is a story about winner takes all, that we want to be able to change that. So that it's no longer about winner takes all, but that at the local level where the action is, there's a certain transformation, a very totemic shift in how local governance, in how we develop our nation, right? And so what am I going to do? I'm going to follow that up by ensuring that more money goes to the local level, right? And I'm also going to strengthen capacity and the systems in place. So we're talking about strengthening the capacity of the local governments to be able to collect their own source revenues. We're talking about property rates. It's another gold mine. I was reading an article a few days ago that indicated that across the African continent, it's not the natural resources that we have, right? And it's that we are losing money, that we are losing money from uncollected revenues. Right?
That adds to, I mean, I'm just bringing this in. A tester says, Mr. Wilson, central government must revise the property tax system to ensure that diplomatic buildings, schools, and other public facilities who are currently exempted pay something to the districts and municipalities, or at least central government should compensate the assemblies for the loss of income from these buildings and structures. He further says, in Dadekotopon alone, these losses amount to over $50 million a year because of the concentration of these assets in their jurisdiction. You were talking about property
I was talking
tax.
about, I was talking about revenue mobilization.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? That in itself, that the resources, the revenues that the local governments are not collecting.
Exactly.
Right? And so we want to strengthen. We want local governments to use technology. Our friends, the Germans, helped us several years ago to develop a system called DREV. You know, that is district level revenue mobilization software, right? It's given to the government of Ghana free of charge, that we should use this. And so the Minister for Local Government, for instance, as part of these processes, has issued a directive to all the districts to sign up and begin to use that free software, because you don't have to pay for it. You just go through a period of orientation, and once the data that is needed on the properties and other revenue handles, all of them, all the about 16 revenue handles that are in law, right, are captured in that system. So we are strengthening these processes for collection of own source revenues. Because remember that if it's an area, it's like a gold mine that the local governments are not tapping fully.
Yeah.
The viewer indicates that there are diplomatic buildings. Yes, there are some exceptions. Remember that issues of diplomacy relates is a give and take.
Diplomatic buildings.
Now, schools, if they are private schools, definitely. Right? But if they are state schools that the local government itself has put or has developed or established in their area, what's the point about going to collect property rates from them? Right? However, if they are private schools, definitely yes. The local governance act currently, you know, is under review, and we believe that by December of this year we should have a new law passed by Parliament, or the bill will be in Parliament. That is taking forward a lot of very progressive policies translated into law, right? That as part of this process of reform. Because remember that if we don't do it, we see it as an opportunity to transform this nation how we want it. You understand? So we're not saying that we're giving away functions, but we are saying that those functions must, the resources to deliver those functions must follow seamlessly. We have a certain system called the composite budgeting system. It's a system that allows for the local governments to plan after they have done the jaw join with the local communities. They put that together. They put a cost to every priority that they identify, right? And they send it, all of it, the various departments in the district. They put all of that together and what the total cost of delivering that over a certain period of time. And then on an annual basis also, they send it to the Minister for Finance. And the Minister for Finance then releases resources from the center. This has not worked very well previously, but through this policy, we are putting in place measures that we want to strengthen even the composite budgeting process to allow so that there is predictability in how the funds follow the functions, in how the transfers are done. Remember that we used to have arrears with the DACF. They will say a common fund, it hasn't come, right? Because there's a constitutionally mandated lag of 1 quarter. So you have 4 quarters in a year, and every quarter when you release, by the time you get to the last quarter, you would get the revenues by December. Then there's a lag. So you get that one, the last quarter's resources, you will get them in the next quarter of the year. There's always a lag of 1 quarter. But aside that, you remember that there used to be several several quarters of arrears. But since 2025, every quarter the money goes. You can ask the local governments themselves that once the quarter passes, even now, the Minister for Finance has even assured us that, look, when the revenues come on a monthly basis, he sends them to the DACF already, so that he's not waiting for all of the quarter to come before he transfers them to the DACF. So these are tangible improvements that President Mahama is bringing, to the system through the national decentralization policy, which together as a people we have formulated. Because this is not Gamali's policy.
Sure.
We did this together as the people of Ghana, right? And the president believes in it. The Minister for Finance believes in it. All of them have signed up to this because Cabinet has approved it. And so they are all minded to be guided by it.
Look, this is 1, 2, 3 interesting messages. Let me read it for you too, if you have a comment on that. This one says, good evening, Mr. Wilson. I think it is good to elect our MMDCs, but transformation of local governance, I think not, because if any of the MMDCs is not working to the central government decisions, he will be denied allocation. Still talking about funding. So this is coming from Reverend Justice Aposa from Ho.
Can I respond to that one?
Sure, you can.
Okay, now this is the thing. You remember I said that even the president, right, the government, the leader of government would have to go back in 4 years' time to the people.
Yes.
So if he decides that, okay, for the people of Ho, is he texting from Ho?
From Ho.
Yes.
That's Reverend Justice.
Yes.
Aposa,
Yes. If the DCE is problematic and then government does not send the resources down for the development of that area, all he needs to do is to tell the people. And because the people will feel it anyway. So in 4 years' time, when the party, they bring their, everything down, campaign vans and what have you, you see that the people are going to vote massively in Ho against that government and their party. There's no doubt about it. So they won't even try it. No government will try it.
You know why I'm giggling?
Yes.
I'm looking at the practicality of it.
Yes.
But before I even get to that, before we get to this, let's be clear on this.
Yes.
Non-partisan election.
Yes.
What does it mean? Does it mean that people who are not politically exposed are supposed to partake? Or whether you are politically exposed or not, you can partake, but just that you will not do it on any party's tickets.
So this is the thing. I have said this on other platforms.
Right.
We need to be honest with ourselves. Every single one of us, including those of us who say we are neutrals, all of us, we have political preferences. Every time we enter the political booth to vote, we vote for a certain political party.
Yes.
Right? We don't spoil the ballots. We choose. Right? So at any particular time, there's a preference. Now, this constitution of ours, in Articles 248, makes it clear what we mean by non-partisan.
Sure.
So 248 says, a candidate seeking election to a district assembly, permit me to read.
Please do.
Or any lower local government unit shall present himself to the electorate as an individual and shall not use any symbol associated with any political party.
Okay, so that is it.
That is 2481. 2482 says a political party shall not endorse, sponsor, offer a platform to, or in any way campaign for or against a candidate seeking election to a district assembly or any lower local government unit. That is the law at the moment. That pertains at that level. I've heard people say to me, oh, you can tell from the colors of the candidates and what have you. Those are subtle, right? But the point still remains that they will not dare. Remember that the local level elections, they are fully sponsored.
Sure.
The only thing that the candidates for assembly member, the only thing they do, any money they spend is the money they spend on the picture, the passport size photograph that they go and take.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe the cost of them leaving their home and going to the photo studio to take that.
Yeah.
That's the only cost. And then also, of course, them moving around and doing stuff. That is why you have, for local elections, you have the NCC plays a bigger role.
Exactly.
They go around educating Ghanaians, drawing attention to when the election is, where the the polling stations are and how to vote and what have you. It's fully funded by the state, right? So you're not supposed to. Now, non-partisan means exactly that.
What is there?
What is
if that is
it?
it, Doc,
Yes.
if that is it,
Yes.
then the challenge I was raising earlier, you said that, okay, so the president comes, the elected MCE says that, look, the president did not give me funds. And so the people will decide not to vote for him. Then comes another person who says that, look, even though it is a non-partisan election, all of you know that I can go and lobby the president. And so I should be the one to be voted for. Because in as much as I may not go with party colors, everyone in the community knows that I belong to party A or party B. So we'll end up still voting for partisan persons.
Not
What about that challenge?
But like I said to you, that these processes do not say that we as a people,
yes,
that we shouldn't associate politically.
Definitely.
Because the same constitution guarantees
Definitely.
our right to association to any political tradition that
Yes.
we want to, right? But that said, these are very clear that non-partisan means you don't have sponsorship from, you don't use party colors, right?
You don't have sponsorship from the party.
From the party. You know, no political party would take its members through a vetting process.
That's right.
Where they are saying that all of you put in your, express interest, come for interviews, we'll shortlist these ones, and then finally people in a certain area would vote for you, and then you become the candidate. All of that is off. So once any party, right, does that, then they break the law.
Very well.
And so the courts
I get
would,
it.
yes.
Yeah. Mr. Wilson, I'm enjoying your guests. But trust me, decentralization, even though the way we should go, even though that is the way we should go, if we do not have a change of mind as leaders in terms of nepotism, partisanship, cronyism, theft, greediness, corruption, and other negative things, things will even get worse. Our leaders must ensure that the existing laws in our constitution is well applied and adhered strictly. Until then, we are our own pathogens of destruction. Thank you all, and my greetings goes to all NASCA members of the NDC, especially our national chairman and organizer of NASCA. Okay, your name is Sir Issue. Okay.
So let me
from Domiabra.
Let me reassure Sir Issue in Domiabra.
Right.
That this policy and its formulation, we have taken note of this.
That's
It
right.
was identified by us as a people that we needed a certain change in our mindset.
Sure.
Right. So we identified 6 additional teams that run through this policy.
Okay.
And one of them is mindset, ethics, and change management.
Very well.
Mindset change.
Exactly.
Right? Mindset change. That we don't want business as usual. This did not come about because of reset, no. But that, look, we have been doing this thing for some time, right? And things are not going the way we want them to go.
Yeah.
So we took a step back, did the review, and identified as one of our stumbling blocks or one of our challenges the issue of mindset.
Very well.
That if we say that ministers have a certain responsibility, civil servants in Accra have a certain responsibility, we, the people at the local level, we have a certain responsibility. And our mindset, our attitude to delivering that, to owning that. Remember earlier I talked about ownership and demanding more from duty bearers and putting people on their toes, right? Now, all of that is part of the process of changing the mindset of the people of Ghana. We are going to do a lot of education, even how we craft the messaging to the understanding of people, because people think that decentralization is an abstract construct.
Right.
They don't think about it in the sense of, oh, it's about where I live and how to transform where I live. They don't think about it that way. They think, so I've met people who say, Gamali, this is your decentralization. Would it work? Right? When is it ever going to come to fruition? And I say that it's a process, it's not an event. Right? And so it takes, all these building blocks of things that we are doing, and to have a beautiful 5-year policy that expresses those aspirations. Now, even the commitment to delivering the policy effectively and making the resources available is also part of that mindset change.
Sure.
That we will not do business as usual when it comes to the implementation of this.
Doc, our time is fast spent. Let me go through just about 2 or 3 more messages, but I want to appreciate all viewers who have sent in all these messages. If I'm not able to read yours, please forgive me. This one says, let me see which one. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. My name is Jones from Manso Tontokrom. Can you ask Dr. Gameli for me when Mr. President will make reshuffle? Some of the DCs and ministers, CEOs are sleeping too much. We need change. Okay, he will if he can. Good evening, Mr. Wilson Jr. I love the topic under discussion, decentralization. But trust me, Mr. Wilson, decentralization, even though that is the way we should. Okay, I think I've gone through this one already. Let me take. Good evening, Mr. Wilson and Doc. If decentralization policy is properly implemented, our projects are national ones. Instead of administrators who answer to national development plans, we'll get mini presidents who answer to campaign financiers and party foot soldiers. Projects will stall every 4 years. Basic services like water, waste, and road will become political weapons, rewarded in strongholds and denied in opposition areas. Appointment isn't perfect, but it keeps local government tied to national accountability. Election will break that chain and leave your district at the mercy of local strongmen. And this is coming from Amankwa Gideon, Ashanti Regional Director of Operations, Teachers Forum. All right. I appreciate some part of what you said, but I'm sure we'll get there. Let me take the very last one because of time. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. My name is Peter Ni Noteloko. From my point of view, MMDCEs will have no excuses for non-development, provided they think outside the box, like raising their own business checking the district through which citizens will pay their taxes to execute projects by collecting property rates, waste, etc. Okay, and this one comes. Congratulations to my good friend, Dr. Gameli. Good work so far. I would like to contribute to the ongoing discussion when he talks about 7 billion Ghana cedis transferred to the MMDCs in 2025 alone. Have you calculated the cost of the drip machines procured in 2024? The cost was part of DACF meant for the MMDAs. And this is coming from engineer Dr. Nana Ato Ata. Doc, there are a lot of messages, but my time is really up. These 2-3 messages that I've read, do you have any comment on that?
What I would say is that we are not reforming in a vacuum. We are putting in place a well-oiled machinery so that we don't want the implementation of this policy to be business as usual.
Right.
Now we're saying that if you are electing your DC, that's in the area of political decentralization, we also want to strengthen the capacity of the local people to be able to demand more, to put local leaders on their toes. We're talking about ensuring there's participatory planning, participatory budgeting, participatory auditing, that's social auditing, right? So that the average Joe is able to hold the local leaders accountable for the resources that come. Soon we'll be coming around. The president is doing accountability series on the regional level. At the district level, we will also go down to be able to, we would roll out decentralization town hall meetings where, we'll come there and the local people and the local leaders will sit down and have a conversation. You got 1 billion,
right?
Or you got 100 million. What did you use those resources to do, right? And this will get even better where they elect their own leaders, right? Because like that person, they ideally should understand the local issues, know them.
Sure.
I've heard about some of your texters have indicated that it will be those who have more money, right? They would buy.
Yeah.
But the point is that they talked about elections and party foot soldiers and what have you. The thing is non-partisan. So which party are we talking about, right? So as much as possible, the law enforcement, aspect is very, very important.
Right.
Also. Now, there's an appeal that I need to make. I know that we don't have a lot of time.
We don't have a lot of time,
But I want to make an appeal to the media and to the people of Ghana that, look, you can put in place a very beautiful policy, but policies don't implement themselves, right? It is as the same people of Ghana, we have to implement. Those in high office, we have to do our bit. But also the average Ghanaian has to do their own bit where they live. They should interact. They should not be disconnected from what pertains at that level. Yes, when the local governments are not coming to them, go to them. Right? Because it's in your interest, it's in all of us, our interest to be able to do that. We also want the media and platforms such as this. We want that, take your cameras to the local level, right? Make sure that you put the local assemblies, the entire local assembly under the microscope, right? In their planning processes, in their decision making, put the microscope on them. Look, they are body corporates. They can sue and be sued.
Exactly.
It's in law. You can take them to court, right? If they are not doing things the way that you perceive those things to be done, take them to court to force them to act, right? The law is on your side. So we, as the people of Ghana, we have the law on our side. We have a president who is pro-decentralization. We have him on our side. And he says that, look, let's take ownership of that process and let us make Ghana a better place that meets the aspirations that we all have for ourselves. So it's very important that we do that.
Doc, in 30 seconds.
Yes.
And I'm raising this because it looks like it's a worry. One of my testers talked about elected MMDCEs becoming thank gods. I have listened to individuals like Professor Hoy also making a similar suggestion. What response do you have for such?
Yes, we would not, what's the word? We will not disregard, because look, in every situation, there are bad apples. Okay, so you would always have outliers or the delinquents, right? Everyone is moving this way, but they want to move in this direction. We are humans. They will have situations where there will be some people who will try to abuse the system. However, that's why it's very important that we are putting in place consequential, amendments, legislation that would deal with behaviors that are necessary, right, at that level. That if you are electing, then it means that you're looking at a different architecture altogether. And so the various laws that we need to put in place, we have made provision for them through this policy process to be able to safeguard, those localities, because we don't want a situation where, we are transferring a certain type of situation from the center to the local level. We don't want thank gods. We want development agents. And I believe that the people of Ghana, what they are interested in the most are the things that influence or impact on their lives. So once their roads are good, once the drainage system is all worked out. Today, it's raining season already. I looked at the certain newspaper article, the Daily Graphic from 1960, April of 1960. It said the rains are here to Accra, right? And today, in 2026, right, we're still talking about it. Now, there's the need for a certain change, a certain shift in our mindset, how we do these things. There's no way that local governments should act in isolation, right? Yes, there are now several local governments in Accra, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't talk to each other.
That's right.
People must think outside the box as body corporate. They should act like all these corporate institutions. That is how the law creates them to be. And so they are empowered to be able to do these things and to bring about fixes that the people of Ghana will be proud of.
Very well. Doc, because of time, but I believe we'll make time again to go into this. In all of this, what is important to me is the fact that electing MMDCs will create an environment for us to be looking more at competence. I have had the privilege of observing how DCs and MCs are appointed. And both NDC and MPP's administration. And there's something that is common. Doc, when it comes for the vetting process, they look at a number of items. All comes to 100%.
Yeah.
So they look at your competence. They look at your party work. And then they look at how likable you are. Yeah. Now, competence and party work, in fact, competence and how likable you are, when you put the mark together, it's about 30%. 70% of the determination has to do with your association with the party.
Yes.
So no one looks at competence. And I believe that as we move into this era, that yardstick is going to change. It is now going to be more on your competence as opposed to what we are having now. So a lot of MCs, my tester said a lot of the MCs are sleeping and all that. Some of them may not even be competent, but because of their association to the party, they were able to shout the loudest. They were able to give T-shirts and all the rest. And so they've been appointed. It's kind of a reward, not kind of demand service.
Yes.
So at least, if for nothing at all, this is one area that elected MMDCs will take care of. Doc, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you
so much. I believe we'll make time again to have this conversation into meters, because it is dear to my heart, and not just to me, but also to my viewers. All too soon, this is where time will allow us viewers. Till we meet again next week, I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson, and all I can say for now is good night.